Welcome to an Origin Dex guide all about the 3-segment Dudunsparce. So, if you're crazy like me, you are maybe working on an Origin Dex where you're collecting all of the Origin marks from every game. And Dudunsparce is an interesting one because in most of the games, I think, except for Hisui, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and that might be it, just those two. You can get a Dudunsparce by transferring in Dunsparces to Scarlet and Violet, and there's a small chance for a 3-segment Dudunsparce. I have only so far gotten the Game Boy mark, which is this lovely guy you see here, number 84. I was naming him by number I was hatching them in, but this video is going to be a guide more than anything. We're going to go gen by gen, or I should say origin mark by origin mark, like game by game, and I'm going to explain to you how to get Dudunsparce from each origin mark. And it's going to be this bad boy here. So the difference is, obviously, the 2-segment is the normal one, the 3-segment is the rare variant, which is a 1% chance, 1 in 100 chance. And we'll get more into it as we go into each game, but basically, you're going to have to transfer in roughly 100 Dunsparces from each origin mark into Scarlet and Violet, and hatch them, or not hatch them, evolve them with the chance to get the 3-segment. So we are going to start with the Game Boy mark, move on to the No mark, and so on, going in order of oldest to newest. So we are in Silver version here, and all of the origin marks for Dunsparce are going to start basically the same, and that is acquire at least 1 Dunsparce by any means. So in Gen 2, obviously, we're not transferring in our Dunsparce from another game. We are going to have to catch it in the wild. So the easiest place to go is going to be to Violet City. I say easiest, it's the only place to catch Dunsparce in the game. So we're going to start in Violet City, and we're going to go right, and we're going to go to the Dark Cave. I think Gen 2 is probably the most annoying to get your base Dunsparce, but basically, Dunsparce is a 1% encounter in the Dark Cave. You're gonna run around until you find one, and you're gonna catch it. So, for example's sake, we're gonna catch Dunsparce here. We're gonna catch a Zubat. We're gonna, it takes a while. It's a 1% encounter. Gen 2 is a little slower. You're gonna catch your Dunsparce is step 1. Now, after you caught your first Dunsparce, there's 2 ways you can do this. There's the easy way, which is catch a Ditto, and then you're gonna breed your Dunsparce with your Ditto. The medium way is you're gonna catch a Ditto from another file and transfer it in. That way, when you breed your Dunsparce and your other copy's Ditto, the egg generation rate is higher than if it was your own Ditto that you caught on the same file. Or the hardest way is going to be to catch another Dunsparce on another file. That way you're going to have the highest possible rate of egg generation to make the process go faster. And in Gen 2, what I learned doing this was it actually took longer to generate the eggs than to hatch the eggs. And so it takes a long time. Hatching a Dunsparce egg is like 10 or so minutes, and sometimes you're not even doing that with a full party of eggs because the egg generation is so slow. So I did end up going to like another copy of a Gen 2 game and catching a Dunsparce there, and then you have your OT Dunsparce and a second OT Dunsparce, and when they breed, it's going to be much, much faster, and it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run than it will be to breed it slower. I mean, you're going to have to spend one more time catching a 1% Dunsparce to save you 100 egg generations, like generating 100 eggs, or you catch a Ditto the easiest way, and then you're going to be running around, not even hatching eggs. You're going to be running around with an empty Pokemon bag, wasting time. In my opinion, that's how I did it. So once you have 2 Dunsparce, you're going to, or 2 Dunsparce or Dunsparce and a Ditto, you're going to obviously go to the daycare, which is south of Goldenrod, give 1 to him, give 1 to her, and then you're set. You're going to see them both out in the backyard. For example's sake, I just have 1 out here, but we all know how breeding works, I think. I don't need to go too deep into that. And you're going to start running up and down Goldenrod City as you do. If you did this the 2 Dunsparce from different OT way, you're going to generate an egg minimum every 6, 3 down and backs. You're going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. So 6 segments, 3 up and downs, and that is enough steps to maybe trigger an egg hatch. I don't remember how many steps it is, 250 or something. I had counted it at one point. So the number of steps from the door of the daycare to the top is like 80 or so, or whatever it is, 60. So when you go up and down 3 times, you're going to end here. And in silver, the daycare man is actually going to be standing where you just barely can't see him. It's kind of annoying. So you have to take a few steps to the right to see if he's there. In crystal, though, he's actually standing outside the door on the other side of the fence, and it's a lot easier to talk to him. So I would recommend doing this in crystal. I am dumb, so I did it in silver, but I learned my lesson, and I will not do it again, but I guess I'll never have to get another 3 segment of Dunsparce anyway. Dang, my mouth's moving too fast for my friggin' words. And basically, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this. I did it until I got a full box of Dunsparce, 20 eggs, and I left my box 1 empty so I could deposit them in there. And then once I got to 20, I just sent them to bank. And then from there, I did the process over again, 20, and then filled it, sent it to bank. That way, I'm just playing less with the Gen 2 box system and can just move on faster. That's how I felt I would do it. And you're gonna wanna do that about 100 times. If you're lucky, it can happen earlier than 100. If you're unlucky, it can take more than 100. But the thing is, you gotta transfer these to Scarlet and Violet anyway, so you might as well do a big batch. I guess you could do it in 20s, but I think I just did about 100, and I got lucky and had one. So we're gonna move over to bank, and we're gonna do an example transfer in, and then we're gonna go to Scarlet and Violet. So you're gonna wanna go into Poke Transporter next. You have your Dunsparces in box 1 of your game, and then you're gonna transfer them into Pokemon Bank. If you don't have Pokemon Transporter, it's a little beyond the scope of this video to explain how to get that. The wireless service is shut down, so you cannot do this just vanilla. You have to have a modded 3DS, and then it is possible to get Poke Transporter Pokebank on your 3DS. If you don't, it's a little more complicated than that. I'll leave a link to the 3DS Hacks site. There's other videos that are great at explaining that, but you're gonna have to acquire Transporter and Pokebank no matter what to do this. In the certain instances where transferring is required, like it is for the Game Boy Mark here. So we're gonna deposit our Pokemon. This is obviously an Eevee, but we're gonna deposit our Pokemon into bank. And you may be wondering if you can create a save state and deposit the same Dunsparce like multiple times. You technically can with Gen 2 because the way that the 3 segment is determined for Gen 2 Pokemon only is generated at transfer into bank. So you could technically catch like 20 Dunsparce, make a save state, and then deposit 20, and then revert your save state, deposit 20, revert your save state, deposit 20. You could technically do that, and technically it re-rolls the chance for a 3-segment Dunsparce. However, this will not work going forward into the other marks. So we're going to go into our Pokebank, and there's our Dunsparce, right? So basically, you're gonna put this in like a box that you're gonna have a whole box of Dunsparces, You're gonna save, you're gonna do the transfer into home next. So we're gonna select the option to move our Pokemon into home. And obviously this is non-reversible. Once you transport a Pokemon into home, it cannot go back. But that is what we want to do to get the Dudunsparce into Scarlet and Violet to be able to evolve them. So our box of Dudunsparce, obviously we're gonna transfer. This is all pretty easily explained in the app itself, but you're then gonna go to your Switch and type in your moving key, and then it's gonna deposit it into home. All right, so we're going into home now. I'm gonna show you very quickly how to get your moving key, and then we're gonna move on. So on home, you're gonna go down here to the move button, which looks like a 3DS, begin move. Warning, you're unable to revert this process, obviously. And then it's gonna, explain how to choose your box on the 3DS. And then it's gonna give you your moving key, which has a 3-minute time limit. So I'm gonna type this in. Moving key has successfully been confirmed. And then it's gonna move it. I think it disconnects you right away, and it takes some time for it to actually register as moved. If I remember correctly, it doesn't take that long. You'll be unable to use home until the move is complete. I don't think it takes too long. Let me just check right away. It takes like a few minutes. Move complete. One Pokemon has been moved. Yes. One Pokemon. We're just gonna put this in a box. Yeah, but it lets you select where you want to put it in case you have like a specific places you want to put all your Dudunsparce. So yeah, I think this is it right here. The Eevee from Game Mark. It just puts it in your transfer box. So there it is. So you know how to transfer in your Dudunsparces. And now you can see I have a bunch from Pokemon Go that I need to see if we have any 3 segments there. So the reason I go over that is because it's unique to Gen 2. This is how you transfer Gen 2 to Switch. And then from there, we're going to move into Scarlet and Violet. And for example's sake, I'll move one of these Go Dudunsparce into Scarlet and Violet so we can go through the entire process. Okay, so we are now in Scarlet and Violet. We have our transferred in Dudunsparce, and now we're going to evolve it to check and see if it becomes a 1 segment. So all of the Dudunsparce you transfer from Gen 2 are going to need to be leveled up to 33, I believe it is. 32. So you need to level your Dudunsparce to level 32 and let it learn Hyper Drill and then evolve it 1 more time. So if you just use 1 medium candy, goes up, I think it was 1 large candy? 25. Anyway, level it up. I think you want to use your candies, obviously. I haven't really decided if turning off the learn. Oh, you know what? It actually is. So let's say you have 6 Dudunsparce in your party. You're going to want to turn off the level up moves and then evolve them all up to like 32, 33 or so. And then go in and relearn Hyper Drill on them. And then give them 1 more candy to level up. That's how I did it. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't know if that's faster than just going through the text. But because they're all from Gen 2, none of them are going to have Hyper Drill naturally. So you're going to have to go through and level them all up individually and go through all that text. So up to you which way is faster, if you want to turn off the level up move or keep it on and go through the text. Once it levels up, it learns Hyper Drill. It'll automatically evolve, and you'll see if it is a 2 segment or a 3 segment. And then you're going to continue this process until you get your 3 segment. We did not get it this time. That's okay. I'm still on the hunt for the Go Mark 3 segment. So that was the whole process of the Game Boy Mark to, catching the Dudunsparce, breeding it to get more, and then transferring it into Bank, into Home, and then into Scarlet and Violet, and leveling up and evolving it. A lot of these steps carry over, but they are slightly different depending on the mark you're going for. So next, we're going to go on to the No Mark. Okay, we are in Gen 3. Now, the weird thing about the No Mark Dudunsparce is, very long story short, only hardy natured with the ability Serene Grace Dudunsparces can evolve into 3-segment Dudunsparce. It's a 1 in 4 chance. So, in Gen 3, on 3 Island, I should say Fire Red Leaf Green, I recommend catching your initial Dudunsparce here because I just feel like it's the easiest. I mean, of course, you have to have a Fire Red Leaf Green. So if you only have, for example, like a Diamond and Pearl, then you can go there. But I think it's easiest. This is 100% encounter rate on 3 Island through the cave. Dudunsparce is found here. And then, because in Gen 3, natures do not pass down with the Everstone, I'm going to transfer Dudunsparce into Gen 4 on Diamond or Pearl. And then we can go ahead and do an Everstone breed and get the nature. So we're going to let's just move over. So we caught our Dudunsparce and we're going to transfer it into a Gen 4 game. Okay, so like I said, we're going to move into Gen 4. The reason we don't want to do this in Gen 3, you can technically do it if you want to catch 2,000 Dudunsparce and roll that chance that they're born hardy with Serene Grace. That's definitely the long way to do it. So we're going to assume you transferred in a Dudunsparce or caught a Dudunsparce from a swarm. Either way, you could catch a Dudunsparce in Heart Gold, Soul Silver in the Dark Cave like we did with the Game Boy Mark. Or like I said, there's swarms in Diamond and Pearl that you can catch it to. Basically, we are going to be breeding our Dudunsparce, no matter the nature, with a Ditto or whatever, until we get a hardy one. And then we can give the hardy one an Everstone, and that gives it a 50% chance that the baby Dudunsparces are hardy nature. The reverse of that would be catching a hardy Ditto and then having the Everstone on the Ditto. And then basically, you're just going to give these to the daycare in Solaceon Town, and you're going to be breeding a lot of eggs. Same thing like we did in Gen 2. And then transferring them into Scarlet and Violet. The harder part of this is you have to go through all the steps, unless you're using PKSM to auto-transfer them to Gen 6. But you have to transfer them from Gen 4, Pal Park, to Gen 5, and then Gen 5, Poke-Transport into Pokebank, and then Pokebank into Pokemon Home into Scarlet and Violet, and then you're going to do the exact same thing. Of course, you're only transferring the hardy natured Serene Grace ones, and then you're going to level them up and evolve them and hope it rolls into a 3-segment Dudunsparce. That's basically the gist on the no mark in Gen 3 and 4. So from here it gets easier, that's the good thing. So next we're going to move into Gen 6, the Pentagon mark. Alright, so we're in X and Y now. X and Y, in my opinion, you could do a breeding method. If you have the Friend Safari for Dudunsparce, I think it's a little easier. Maybe it's like less work, but maybe it takes longer. But what are we doing basically? You're basically catching 100 Dudunsparces, and you're going to transfer into Scarlet and Violet and hope it rolls. You first obviously need to acquire a Dudunsparce by any means. You can transfer in a Dudunsparce that you bred from Gen 4. You cannot use a Gen 2 Dudunsparce because those are technically Gen 7, so it can't go into X and Y. Or you can catch one from the Friend Safari and breed them. There's a lot of ways to do it in Gen 6, actually. And I thought it'd be fun to just like do a Friend Safari while you have that like 1 in 500 shiny chance, and then you're catching a bunch. And since we're in Gen 6 now, you do not have to worry about it being hardy nature or Serene Grace. I'm like 99% sure at this point the PID, like basically the numbers in the background changed, so it's not the same as what we were doing in Gen 4. You don't need to worry about the nature, don't need to worry about the ability. It's a different kind of roll on the chance, so you just need to acquire your Dudunsparces and then transfer them into Bank and then transfer them into Home. A lot easier at this point. But that's all you gotta do. So choose whether you wanna catch them, or you could catch them and then breed them. But however you need to do it, you're just you're breeding 100 Dunsparces and transferring them up. And then you're gonna have your chance for the 3-segment Dudunsparce in the Pentagon mark. So let's move on to Gen 7 now, the Clover mark. Okay, so we're in Ultra Moon now. As you may imagine, these get a little easier with every subsequent game because we should already have Dunsparces to work with. To be honest, I don't even know where to catch Dunsparce in Gen 7, but you've already done Gen 6, so you can just transfer in any Dunsparce from Gen 6 into Gen 7 and get breeding. That's what I would do. That's the easiest way. Just breed them. Nature doesn't matter, like I said again, beyond Gen 3 and 4, so you don't have to worry about that. Just breed a bunch of Dunsparces and then transfer them into home and transfer them into Scarlet and Violet and then evolve them to see if you roll the 1 out of 100 chance. It's pretty much just that simple, and that's the reason we're doing it in order. And we're gonna move on now to the Galar mark with Sword and Shield. Alright, so we're in Sword and Shield now, Gen 8, and I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but you're going to need to obtain a Dunsparce by any means, and now that we're in the Switch era, you can trade for one, you don't even have to transfer one in, but if you're doing this in order, you probably have some Dunsparces already, so all you're going to do is breed them until you got about 100, and then you're going to transfer them into Scarlet and Violet and evolve them up and see if they turn into Dudunsparces. I'm not going to waste any more time on that. That's the Galar mark. Okay, so moving on to Pokemon Go, I don't have a good way to show you my phone right now, but basically you're going to have to catch Dunsparce in real life in Pokemon Go. You can't, go to a specific area and catch them. Technically, maybe they could be at a swarm at a park, but that's probably out of the scope of what we're able to control. So as you're playing your Pokemon Go, your daily, whatever, you see a Dunsparce, always catch it. And then once you do have enough, or even just a couple, you can go ahead and you're going to go into your game settings, your connected devices and services, Pokemon Home, and then transfer it into your home account. Basically, I haven't gotten this one yet. I'm just going around catching Dunsparces as I play. But this is something I'm still doing, passively collecting Dunsparce, whenever I end up playing the game or not. And then same thing, you're transferring into home, and then you're going to transfer them into Scarlet and Violet and evolve them to see if they roll that chance. And that's about all you can do for this one. It is what it is. It's Pokemon Go. I've probably caught like at least 50 or so since I've actually started trying, and still haven't got it, but we're going for it anyway. But that's the Go mark, and the last one is the Scarlet and Violet mark. Okay, I lied. We're going into Diamond and Pearl now. BDSP, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. This is pretty much the same as Sword and Shield. You're just gonna, acquire a Dunsparce however you can, transfer it in, catch in a swarm. I believe you can catch Dunsparce in the underground too. And pretty simple. You're just gonna go to the breeding guy, put them both in, and breed eggs until you get your Dunsparce. Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah. You obviously want to have a Slugma for these, like a Magma Armor or Flame Body Pokemon in all the breeding segments throughout all the marks. I should say Gen 4 beyond, because pretty sure Flame Body wasn't introduced until Emerald, actually, in terms of speeding up your egg hatches. So yeah, very simply, deposit your Dunsparce, breed them, breed about 100, transfer them into Scarlet and Violet, and check for 3 segments. And moving on to the last one, Scarlet and Violet. Alright, so we're back in Scarlet and Violet. It might seem pretty obvious what we're about to do, but I'll say it again. We're going to acquire a Dunsparce by any means, You're obviously going to have them by this point because you will have probably transferred in other Dunsparces and evolved them. And that is one thing we need. We need them to be already evolved to make this as easy as possible. So when we're catching our Dunsparces, it doesn't really matter, but we're probably going to want to breed these. And the reason we want to breed them is because if we can breed 2 Dudunsparce that already know Hyperdrill and set up a camp and make a sandwich, because both of the Dunsparce already know Hyperdrill, every egg that hatches is gonna have those Dunsparce already knowing it at level 1. And that is just basically gonna speed up the process of evolving them, because you don't have to evolve them to level 32. You only have to evolve them one time, like whether it's a rare candy or a candy extra small or whatever. And they're gonna evolve right away after 1 level. Very, very, very easy. And you can only do this with Scarlet and Violet because Hyperdrill was a move introduced in Scarlet and Violet. So Scarlet and Violet will definitely be the fastest of all the methods. And then you're going to want to make a sandwich for the egg power, or it'll take forever. And then other than that, hatching the eggs is fairly easy. So I just picked this like second sandwich here, or the third sandwich here with egg power 2. Just make the sandwich real quick. Have your Dunsparces there. Go do something else for 3 minutes and come back. Do it a bunch of times and then hatch your Dunsparces. Evolve them. Oh, also, I should have mentioned this before, but for every mark, you can save before you evolve them. Once they're in Scarlet and Violet, they're set. It's gonna be a Dudunsparce 2-segment or 3-segment no matter what you do. So you might as well save before you evolve them to save your candy. And then if you find one, reset it to evolve that one to save your candy and just evolve the one that's going to be a 3-segment there. So if you followed all of the steps, then we've covered, all the marks that Dunsparce is available to be obtained in. And, it's a lot of transferring, it's a lot of breeding. You can do it however you want to. The hardest one is definitely the Gen 4, the Gen 3 and 4, the no mark version. If you want to take it a step mega extra far, and I guess I'll talk about this, you can get the Pokemon Colosseum Shadow Dunsparce from a distant land. I do plan on doing that, and unless you're using save states and PKSM to read the Dunsparce nature, it takes a very long time, because essentially you are playing Colosseum for, I don't know, like 2 hours or so to get up to the Dunsparce encounter. You're gonna catch it, you're gonna purify it enough to see the nature, and then if it's not hardy, you're gonna reset. So that's a 1 in 4 chance if it is hardy, but it's a 1 in 25 chance that it's even hardy in the first place. I did do a setup where I set up a save state before catching it. So I'd catch the Dunsparce and then extract my save file, read it with PKSM to read what the nature was, and then if it wasn't hardy, reset. I never got any hardies though. I did it probably 30-ish times, and then I'm like, okay, that's a project for later. But that's a definitely bonus points if you get the Shadow 3-segment Dudunsparce from Colosseum. Whoa, that's an impressive feat that I hope I can get one day, actually. So there it is. That is how to get a 3-segment Dudunsparce from every origin mark. I hope this was entertaining in some way, helpful in some way. It is a bit of a grind, but I did want to cover Dunsparce by itself because it's such an interesting form to get, and it's going to take a long time. Stay tuned for more. We're very soon going to be going into our Gen 6 video. That's basically 99% complete. And then we're going to be going into like a separate Colosseum video talking about origin marks from a distant land. And there's a lot of stuff to do with the origin decks. We're getting very, very close to finishing everything pre-switch. which is important for when bank inevitably shuts down for good. That will become inaccessible for the foreseeable future until they add ports or remakes of some kind for us to be able to get these old origin marks. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Check out my my journal podcast that I'm now uploading. And if you want more stuff on the origin decks, check out my past videos. Subscribe and like to see what I do next. And thank you for watching. Bye.